Hi everyone, I'm Santosh. I'm a computer science major. I'm a sophomore here at Towson. So I'm also the vice president of the software engineering club. So I'll be presenting presentation on how to build a mobile app. So let's get started. So these are the topics we'll be covering. So the first one will be defining your goals, like what you need to do and stuff like that, and write your ideas on what you're planning to do, and research whether there is stuff that you need to gather data about, or you need something to make this app, those kind of stuff, and design the UI. UI is nothing but the user interface, the people the user who interacts with the user interface. So buttons, the things that appear to the user, or the backend is called the user interface. And different the backend is what the app does in the behind. What if you select a button, what it does is the backend, and how to build your app, and then testing, beta testing, publishing, and marketing. So we'll go in depth for every topic. So first, defining your goals. So these are the stuff you need to cover. What your app should do. So you should write your ideas on what your app needs to do. So defining goals like what you're planning to do, what's the purpose of the app, and what functionalities do you need to make the app work, and what the target audience are. So based on the target audience, you need to modify your app according to their requirements and stuff. So target audience is like an important step before making an app, and and if you're working on a team, so you need to define what each person's role will be, so it'll be easier for them to navigate. So one person is developing, and another person is as a designer, he can develop the user interface. The other person is a coder, so he'll do the backend stuff like that. And then what problem are you solving? So your app shouldn't be just making it just for the sake of making it. It should be kind of something that would solve another problem that already exists. So if it kind of if it solves a problem, it'll be your app would get much popular and much more better instead of just doing it. So and also, is it easier for an average smartphone user to use it? Because some apps, they are like really complicated, and people struggle to what this does and what does this. It should be easy without any guidance. They should be able to work with it. And second is write your ideas. So what what your app should have. So these are like what you need to have ads on your app so that you can make some money out of it, or if you wanna have like in-app purchases, because some app like Pokemon Go and stuff, they have coins you can purchase it for real money. So if you wanna do like gaming and stuff, you will need in-app purchases in the app. And then is the app free for download? Because some apps are not free for download, but if you make your app if you make your app for money, they will you will lose a lot of audience. That's another thing to consider, because most apps are free, and if you charge for your app, most people will not try not to buy it. So, and also a login page is a lot of apps, as you can see, have a login page, but as per a survey and some researchers, login page almost stops more than half the audience that you get for your app. So please try not to do that. If it's really, really essential, only then do it. If it's not, you can just avoid it. And research. So research is like when you are trying to have an idea, and you are trying to implement one app. So that's when you need to think whether they already have an app in their app market, app store, or you need to if they do already have an app, you need to see how your app is different from everyone else, so that your app would be better and more you have more users instead of just making it the same app that everyone else did. And also you need to see what competition your app has. So if your app is like another person made this app and it was a failure, you should try not to do that, or you should try make it better, not the same app. So and design the user interface. So user interface is like as I mentioned before, it's the what the user sees in front of the app. So stuff like that, like buttons, text, and stuff, or the user interface. So there's tools called Wireframe Tools, which are like not really app. They are basically just design. You can design whatever you want, like add label, app text, without any code at all. So you can have a basic idea of what your app does, so that when you go to code, you can just implement that to the code. So when you this is very essential in like a business place. When a client orders a app that needs a specific requirement, and you don't know how to express it in words, so you use a tool like this to show it to the business client, and if he is satisfied, you can go on from that. So I'll show you a short demo of what it is.
We'll provide an over.
So this is called a Just in Mind. This is also like a wireframe tool that you can use to design the UI of an app.
View of Just in Mind to detail basic features. Let's start by exploring the user interface. When first opening the application, you'll be greeted by a welcome menu with commonly executed actions for easy access. In this case, we will create a new prototype and begin by selecting the type of device the prototype will run on. Next, you'll notice 4 options are given to specify the starting point. The content can be based on provided templates, images, or another prototype file. For this example, the empty option will be chosen to demonstrate a clean state. Once the main interface has been reached, you'll see panels that control properties of screen elements, areas for defining data containers, and the available widgets. These widgets, as defined within the panel, are components that can be used to create the aesthetic design and supplement functionality. To ensure access to the necessary widgets is provided, simply select the desired libraries from the Add, Remove Libraries menu option. In dragging multiple widgets to the screen, the outline panel will become populated with each respective name in a hierarchical view for organization. The outline panel provides several purposes, one of which allows manipulation of widgets' positions relative to others. In altering the position, components can be brought into and out of the foreground if necessary. This action may additionally be completed through the positioning dropdown located on the editing toolbar. Adjacent to each widget within the outline view is an eye icon that allows widgets to be temporarily hidden if needed.
Stuff over there. So this is kind of the like a demo of what a wireframe tool is. So this will be really helpful if you guys have an idea and how we need to design, how it should look. You can use this tool to build it and then bring it into code. And I also attached a list of wireframe tools you can use. I can share the slides if you guys want. And the main part is defining the backend of your app, just the coding part. So designing the UI is another part, and the backend is another. Is the opposite of that. So you need to have like a developer who would be who you need to define what your requirements are. So he'll be able to tell what it would cost and what other functionalities and stuff you need. So I mentioned as how are you going to implement it? Those kind of stuff are developer part. So our club, software engineering club, is here to help. So if you guys have any ideas or anything or ideas or suggestions to making an app, we are always here to help. You can talk to us after the presentation. And so what API or services you will be needing? So API is nothing but application programming interface. So API makes your app or your website, your work a lot easier as a developer. So stuff like if you need an app that scans a photo and brings you the details about it, that's you need an API for that, because if you are trying to develop that specific technology, it will take a lot of time because it's a hard algorithm to develop as an API. So if you use the API that are already provided, it would make your work a lot easier. So I'll show you a demo here. So if you can see, so this is IBM Watson API. What it does is it scans a photo and gives you all the details about that photo. So if you are trying to implement an app that uses this kind of feature, you can use this app. They also have a pricing, but it would make your work a lot easier. So if you can see, it says who's the person. The score here is how accurate the results are. That's what the score is. If it's a 1, it's 100% sure. So yeah, if you say the face model, it will show you what age they are. It's like an approximation of what female or every other stuff you need about the photo. And also you need to discuss what tools you need. So for example, if you're using Android, if you're making an Android app, you need Android Studio. If you're making iOS app, you need Xcode and an Apple hardware. So and now you have all your ideas and stuff gathered around, you can start building your app. So for before coming to this part, you need to make sure all the everything else that I discussed has covered from backend, user interface, everything, and yeah. So everything, if only if everything is covered, you'll be able to build an app, or else you will lose track in the halfway or through. So, and once you are done with your app, testing is a whole new part. So testing requires a lot of knowledge. So if you're having an app and you need to do testing, you need to go with the worst cases. By worst cases, I mean, so if you're searching for a name, and if the name exists, something comes up. What if the name does not exist? What if it's not a name at all? Those kind of stuff are called testing. So you need to do testing a lot before you release your app, because sometimes many app doesn't do testing a lot, so that's why their app doesn't get popular. So when something happen, the app closes by itself, and those kind of stuff shouldn't happen at all while developing apps. So testing is a huge part of developing an app. And another thing is called beta testing. Beta testing is nothing but once you are done with testing, the normal testing with you, it should you should have like a release a beta version in online. So it's nothing but you have a app developed but not fully developed, so that users can still download, but it won't be available to everyone. So users who will use it, sees it, downloads it, uses it, and sends you feedback. As a developer, you need to make changes to the stuff to the app, so that it will make the future users a lot better. So this is nothing but kind of releasing, but not yet fully released, so that everyone can test it and then give you feedback, and then you can modify everything you need. And finally, once you receive feedback, made your changes from the beta testing, and from the beta testing, you can go to publishing it. So publishing it is not a huge deal. So once you're done with everything, you can just go to, if you're it's an Android app, you can go to Google Play Store and publish it. They charge about 25 for one person, and for iOS, you can go to App Store and they charge $100. But iOS is you need to they will review your app before they publish it. They need to make sure it's not a virus or any other threat that they have, so that it publishes it properly. But they have a really strict policy. So if you're developing an iOS app, if you are willing to get it published, you need to give really good consideration while making the app. And but Google Play Store is not like that. You can publish it as soon as you make it. As soon as you publish it, Google Play Store will have the app, so you don't need to worry about Google Play Store. And marketing your app. So this is the final part of app making. So if you're done with the app and publish it on the internet, marketing is a huge aspect. So if your app wants to get more popular, it doesn't have to include money and stuff. You can just put it on social media, friends, family, everyone who think you will use it, who will think it will be really helpful for them. They have this app, so that your app would get more downloads and more popular. That's it. And do you guys have Android Studio installed? Not yet. Okay. I'll just show you a short app on how to do it. So you download Android Studio, go to File, New Project. So I'm going to do a random number generator. So once you click a button, is again and again, it will generate a new number. So yeah, I'll name it random. And this is the Android version. So if you can see, as you go higher, the number of people who use as you go higher, the number of people who use it will be lesser. So if I select 5.0, as you can see, it says 85%, which is out of the every Android user, 85% of them are using at least this. So this is like the minimum version we should use. If you go down below 5.0, it will still be, it would say 100%, but you won't get a lot of features that you can use, because as a developer, you would need certain features to be more intuitive, more modern looking app. So if you go too high, it's bad, and if you go too low, it's also bad. So trying to stay in the middle. 5.0 is like middle stage, so we can, that has almost all features. So next activity. guys know coding stuff or just new to everything? New? You guys new?
Like coding?
Yeah. Not really. So not a problem. You don't need to really need to know a lot for this. It's just a sample app. So main activity is when or what the app opens when it first starts. Main activity is like the first activity what it opens. So this is the user interface. So this is like the design. You can see what it is and what it is in text. This is a language called XML. This is not. This is used for only for the UI, and for the backend it's Java. So for the UI, say whenever you create a project, it always does a hello world project for you. So it's just like a sample. You delete that, and if you want, you can write it as text, the code, but use the tools here, it will be easier. So Textview is nothing but just displays the text. So if I have a text here in the center, and then I'll add two button. Once I added this, as if you see already the code will be over here. So you don't need to have much. You don't need to do coding at all for the user interface only. So if you I'm just giving this a random name. So I'll give this button a name as toast. Toast is nothing but as you have you ever used Android phones before? You do, okay. So there's a black thing that comes up when you select some when you uninstall an app or you do something. It's like a short period of time for 2 seconds. It comes up and goes. That's a toast. Like a small message that comes up and goes within a certain period of time. So I'm going to implement toast here. Once you click that, a thing comes up and goes within 2 seconds. And this will give it random. So what I'm trying to implement here is if I click toast, a random number will come here, and if you click random here, the text over there will change to a different number every time you press it. So I'll make it a little bigger. One more thing is once you drag and drop, it has constraints. So if you don't specify like where it should stay, it all goes up to the top. That's why it shows warning over here. So if you select this option, it's just constrained by itself. You don't need to type it specifically. So now the error goes up, you can see, and then so we have a text view which is just displays text and two buttons as toast and random, and we'll an ID is nothing but it's just a thing that we identify each button with. So it should be different for every other ID. It should be unique for each button and each text view. So if you're say if you're once you click the button, something happens. How do you implement that? So you need to get the reference of what this button is in the back end of your code. Once you get the reference, how you get the reference is through the ID. Once you get the reference, you need to specify what it does once it selects that exact specific button. I'll show you so that you can understand easily. So I'll name this ID toast and name this one as random and this as number. Oops. So once you change the ID, change this a lot. So specify the ID first and then give the constraints. So once that's done, you go to the main activity. This is the backend. This is the Java code. This is the method that executes at first when the app starts. So inside, we had one text view. So we define a text view number, which is the number. and then the button which is toast, and then another button which is random. So this is when what you need to know which button is what. Just by giving it a name doesn't automatically reference it. So we need to specify through the ID. So we know that we specified ID is toast in the main activity. As you can see here, it's called toast ID. So on the main activity toast equals, there's a method called find view by ID. So it finds the button that has the exact specific ID. So ID dot toast. So now this button has reference to this button. So once whatever you do here will impact on the user interface. The same way you need to do it for. Do you guys understand or?
Quite a little bit.
Okay. Where do you have any questions? You can always ask.
I mean, yeah. I already know about coding and programming, so. But so, so you're just like modifying the interface right now by coding and trying to link what you're doing right now to the interface directly.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, trying to link. So we only have 3 elements here. By elements, I mean all the text, buttons, and stuff. So there's 2 buttons here and 1 over here. So we name the ID as number for this text. We name the ID for the button as random. We name this button as toast.
And what about talk about the Wireframe Tools, I think. So this does the same thing or is different?
This is different. This is just you are actually building an app with this. So those are like if you are have an idea and you need to know how it will look for you as a person, or if you are doing for a business or for some company, if you want to present it, the wireframe is nothing related to code. It's just an UI. You build it and then you showcase it. So it's just an UI, just like a design. Like you will sketch something before you draw it. Yeah, those kind of stuff. Yeah.
But the studio has the UI and the backend.
This UI is like really implementing it, but that is just for a prototype.
Just for how it will look.
Yeah, how it will look. And you need to, once you are done and you are satisfied with that, through the wireframe, you implement it here.
Oh, so you kind of build it like for real.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. So if you go straight here and then try to implement, it's a lot of work. And once someone says that I don't need this, it will take a lot of time to change everything. So wireframe makes it a lot easier. So once you get the reference of a button, and so we had 2 buttons, right? So I'm doing the same for the other button, and then the text. Everything you need to getting a reference for everything is the same. It's the same method. So yeah, ID dot number. You guys understand this one? This?
Like you creating text and like kind of place where you put text and what numbers.
Yep. Where I put text is here. Where I it's always be here. Where I'm specifying here, it will always be here. But what inside it, the number, I can change that number, that exact text to something else. Like if I say 0, I can do that in the backend. With that specific number text, I can change that to something else.
Alright.
Got it?
Okay. You can just modify it after when you've done everything.
Yeah, you can do everything. Yeah. It's just for the UI. Just what this is just what the user interacts with. He doesn't care about what's in the back. He just cares about the UI, so it should look better. I'm just making this as an sample, so it doesn't really care about the UI. So I said, so once you click toast, so for selecting something, a button, there's a method called onClick listener. I don't know why they call it in that way, but once you set onClick listener, so what it means is once you select that, do this. That's what it means. So it's new. You don't need to understand these stuff. So once you select that, what inside these brackets on click will execute. Whatever inside it will execute whenever you select it, each time you select it. So I'm trying to implement a random generator, number generator. So there's a class called random in Java. What it does is you specify how between what number and what number you need a random number. So if I say from 0 to 50, I need a random number. It generates every time it generates a new number. That's, you can't guess, it's really random. So I specify random.
So what would you do that? How is gonna play into the interface?
What's that?
Like the random number. So how does it play like in the?
I'll show you. So once we get the random number, so on click, once we specify, this is like creating an object of a random object, and then getting a number like int. This is integer. We're getting a number from that object, so we specify random. You don't need to understand this. I'm just getting a random number between 0, 1 and 50. So we don't need to understand this. This is just, that's what it does is it generates a random number 1 through 50, so one number, and then stores it in n. And then what you do is once you do that, so a toast is what I mentioned. So this object called toast, which if you make text, if you add make text that method, it just appears the 2-second thing on the black thing on the bottom. It just appears and goes. That's what this object does. So you get it right?
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay. I'll show you once I'm doing it, and I'll teach you what it does specifically. You don't need to get all this. I'll specify the number this time is, because every time it changes, right? So the number this time is the value n, which is here. It generates a random number. So what I'm doing is I'm splitting the number this time. The plus sign just attaches the number with the string. So the number this time is space the number displays. That's what it does. You don't need to get all this. This is just I'm saying length short, which means just for a really short amount, not a long one. And so we are done with the toast button. It doesn't work here. Only if you run it, you can see it working. So once you select, like on the phone, if you select toast, the thing comes up with a random number. I'll show you. I'll run it. And then another button is random. We do the same thing for that. So again, random. So it's the same thing for now. I'm defining for the random button. So before I did it for the toast button, which is this button. Now I'm doing for this button, the random button. You guys see it? And then what we are doing for the random button is not the same thing. We are not displaying the toast. Instead, we are doing the text which is on top of the buttons. We are changing this text, the number text, to a specific number, like a random number. So what we are getting is the same thing, int and go next int 50. This is doing the same thing as before, getting a number 1 through 50, a random number between 1 to 50, and then the text which we reference, the number, we're getting that number, the number text. This is nothing but the text view which is over here. We're just accessing that and then setting it dot set text. Set text itself is defined like set this text to something else. So the something else is what we define inside the parameters. So we define like n, it will change that text to that specific number. So that's what the method does. Right. So I think I can run it. Yeah. So once I run it, I think you'll be able to see. This is just an emulator. You can select whichever phone you want. So it says code build running, which means it takes a little time when you're running it the first instance. So after some time, will pick up the speed. So right now it's here, what we mentioned in the UI, just like that. Once you click toast, yep, you see that the number this time is 38. So whenever I click toast, this is executing. So when you can see, so it goes here, gets a random number, and then toast, it makes the text a number this time is the specific number. So these are like random here. Oh yeah. So when you are setting a text, it should be a text. It should not just be an integer. That's why it's stopped. So these are the testing things. Something, if you click something and something happens, you need to test on that. So if I select, if I add a string to that, it will change into a string instead of an integer. If you run again, no, no, so it has to be a string instead of an integer. Random. Every time it generates a random number.
And when you click random, can you click random?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So 1 to 50, any number chooses on random.
So both like random and toast are doing the same function. They have the same function.
Yeah, the random. Yeah, the toast and everything has the same function. We're just displaying at the bottom with the toast instead of displaying it up in the text. Is that your question?
Yeah.
Why is it called toast?
I don't know. It's
Just for
Is it a variable?
no, the toast is like a thing that comes up in the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So you see, that's a toast. I don't know why the Google named it that way.
Okay, yeah.
So imagine like the Instagram interface must be huge.
Yeah, it's
in terms
true.
of text.
Because most people, if it's like really more modern, they love to use that app. It's really cool, right? So if it's not that cool like this one, which is just simple one, they don't really take interest in doing that. Even if it has like really cool functionalities, like scanning an image and stuff, only if it looks like really appealing and stuff, the people will try to use it. So user interface. If you guys have like a graphic designer, he'll be a great help to you guys. If you guys have any ideas on making an app. So
Is there a way to test the app on your phone without putting it on?
yeah, that's much faster than an emulator. If you have a wire, charger wire like a USB, I can test it right now on your phone.
Really?
Yep.
You can just
Just plug it in, run it, it'll be on your phone.
It'll be like under the files
No.
section.
It's just like
You need
as if you install an app from the App Store, from the Play Store. It'll be just like an app, but it won't have a logo. It will have an Android logo. So it will say random, what the name of your project under it, and it will just like behave just like an app, like a real app.
And so, but you won't work for like an Apple because it's a different system.
Yeah.
Just for Android.
For Apple, yeah. For Android, it's easy. You can do Android stuff wherever you want, whichever computer you want. But Apple, you can only make in Macs. They have a restriction that you only Apple Macs can use the software to develop iOS apps, so you can't do it in PC. They are selfish people.
It's Apple. Three company.
Yeah, it's really cool. So they have that restriction, so you can't make it. If you have Mac, you can. But also, it's a different new language. Java is taught in our classes, like the computer science classes in 1000. But iOS is used by a language called Swift. That is totally different language. That's not hard to learn. It's easy to learn. But you need to learn a new language to do iOS app. It's kind of extra word, but it looks more appealing than here. There's a lot of tools that make it more interactive and stuff.
So for the back end, you use Java, but for the front end, what?
It's called
XML.
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 So it's not hard to. It's not even kind of language. You can even see what's the width of the specific button.
So it's just formatting.
Yeah, it's just formatting.
Kind of like HTML, right?
Yep. Kind of HTML. HTML. It's not hard to learn. So just text. You can see. You can even understand as if you're seeing it. You can learn, but it is not necessary for the UI unless you want to like really cool. It's not that necessary.
And like, what do you like need to download in order to build an app? Like,
Good question. So for Android Studio is what I prefer. There's Eclipse. I don't know, most of you guys heard it. It also allows Android development.
You can make it in Eclipse.
Yep. But you need to have like a specific library or something. You need to download an extra stuff. So Android Studio is what I prefer. It makes it easier for like this. You can just drag and drop. Everything appears on the code. I don't know if Eclipse has it. So Android Studio should be enough. And you also need Java file. I think Java file, JDK file. If you download both of those, you'll be able to build an app. And I built like 4 or 5 apps that are little complicated. So I've been to hackathon. That's how I learned and built. I learned by myself. So guys like Android development, we have a project initiative. So we are like we gather around and form an idea. We haven't started it yet, and build that specific idea throughout the semester, and then maybe have like a competition at the end of the semester with 3 or 4 teams. So it'll be like a really good motivation and good experience.
Yeah, like they'll display like all like people's apps, and it's gonna be pretty cool. Like kind of like an art display, like except with apps. Yeah. Plus, you don't really have to like Here's what I was thinking. Like you don't have to like even if you don't have like much experience, you don't have to like just kind of like you can just watch people like as they like the whole process from the beginning to the end, just so you can get an idea.
Yeah.
So that's for all skill levels.
Yeah. You have it for all skill levels.
And like so when basically does it start? Because I'm an econ major, so I don't really.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm more like number, macro, I know statistic, but not coding. So I'd like to learn more about it.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of really good resources on the internet. I would check out actually the first like recommendation is go on this YouTube channel called The New Boston. The guy who teaches that he's amazing. New Boston, yep.
You can like have links on the Facebook page, just.
Yeah, actually. So are you in the Facebook page or like
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a Facebook group,
Mhm.
and in that group I posted this whole like resource sheet full like amazing resources like channels to watch and where to learn how to code.
Mhm.
So, but it's in the Facebook group.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's the name of the YouTube channel again?
It's The New Boston.
The New Boston.
You taught me so much.
Sam. He helped me so much for like some of my classes too.
Like Boston, like the city.
Yep,
Yes.
like Boston.
Okay.
The New Boston. Not sure why you named it that, but
And when you start making team, like for example for the new
The
app
project. So we thought of having like a meeting before starting it. Thought of having like a meeting for. We also have a web-based projects like website development.
Mhm.
So both everyone who are interested will meet at a specific location. We'll have like mentors who will guide us through and what we are doing, what should we do, and are we on the right track. And once we start off that meeting, we can do whatever we want.
And you're gonna post it, right?
What's that?
You're gonna post it on Facebook.
Yeah. We should mention that we should post it on Facebook. So
what
the project initiative.
Oh yeah. No, we definitely will.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we keep like everybody up to date with like what we're doing and stuff like that.
Interesting. So you already launched and you have you told me like about 7 apps.
What 4 to 5 apps? Yeah. I made 4 to 5 apps.
That's great.
Yeah. They don't have to be like complicated apps either. Like the app Flappy Bird, that game. Yeah. So that's actually a pretty simple app to make. Yeah. But the guys who made it got filthy rich. Same thing with I think with the Angry Birds, like it wasn't like that hard to make.
It's not free. How did they get so rich?
Oh, I mean, it became a whole industry.
The what?
Angry Birds.
Yeah.
So like that game was like it's not that hard to make either, but yeah, like eventually, like it became a whole industry. I think there's even like a TV show about it. Like they sold a lot of merchandise. So, I mean, that just shows you how like a small idea could turn into something really huge.
It was like a anime first.
Remember the Android Workshop?
No.
Oh.
Is that?
Yep. If you guys want, I can show you my app.
Yeah, sure.
So this doesn't look that fancy. Just built it at the UMBC hackathon. So I haven't published it yet, but it's like a app that rates a place, any place you guys want, on based on its sensory details. So it's for people with sensory processing disorder. So it's nothing but some people are like who won't be comfortable touching them, right? They would act in a certain way, like when you're touching them, or when a bright light comes in, or even you would have seen in Facebook like barber cutting a child's hair is much harder. Those are the people with sensory processing disorder. So we rate a place based on its lightness, crowdedness, noise, stuff like that. So I'll show you. So this is the app. I had login page. I already logged in, so it's already in. So you add lookup reviews, and then it shows you a list of places you can select that you want to rate. It's just if you've been to that place, you can rate the place. So I say Towson Town Center, which is a mall, and select the place. Shows you the number of rating for each one, and shows you the address, website, phone number, and then somebody have rated it. You can also see what their rating is. Haven't brought in descriptions and stuff. You can write a review.
You get that idea?
Idea. When we went there, I have brought a friend. We took a friend to the hackathon. She was not like a technical manager. She's an occupational therapist. So she said that we don't have something like this in our field. So it just popped up.
Alright.
And then yeah.
Did you get like the Google Maps?
Well, that's what API is for. So as I showed you, what the IBM Watson, the visual recognition does, there's a lot of APIs that can do speech to text, text to speech, translation, and Google Maps is one of those. It's also an API, but it's not hard to implement. You just read through their instruction; it will be easy. So yeah,
What does the backend look like?
the backend, yeah, that's not a problem. This is the backend. So each class has a number of code. It looks simple, but it's a lot of code. So I'll show you the main activity. Can't even find it. This is the main activity is nothing but this one. So this is the main activity. This is our logo, email, password. You can log in through the normal login, or you can have Facebook login, Google login, or create an account. For the backend, this is everything. It keeps on going.
That's long.
Yep. It's not. At first, it will seem overwhelming, but you will get the hang of it once you learn a lot. Just why it's this much code is because if you need to implement Facebook, you need their API to connect to your app. So you need that, and also for Google, the same thing, their API to yours. Just because you are using other Facebook is a completely total platform. So if you need it, you need to ask permission from them and then get it. That's why it's this much code. Otherwise, it will be simple. There's a lot of stuff as you go in. So if I go in, say, so if I go in and it has a list of reviews or what I have reviewed or others have reviewed. So if you want to store those kind of details, you need a database. So database stores all your information, and if you need database after a certain amount of time, every company charges. So this is a basic app. There's not many reviews, so storage is kind of not a problem for me. But if you are going like really need a lot of data, then you need to worry about pricing and stuff. You can see the one I showed before. Reviews is stored in a Firebase database, which is provided by Google. So if you go to Firebase, if I go to my account, I should be able to see this specific review in the database. If I want, I can delete it. So you need a database if you want to store data anywhere in your app. I can explain a lot, but I don't want to get too technical and too intimidating. So
So you computer science major?
Mhm.
Me too.
And information systems,
Um,
which is like computer science mixed with business.
alright. So you're doing like programming too?
Yep.
Right. So what's the difference? Like you mix it with business, so like
Well, yeah. So like, there's it's a whole other industry with like the whole like business side. So since you're an economics major, I'm sure you work with like a lot of data.
Yep.
So have you heard of like data science?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So like that's and like an example of how like programming and business can combine. You basically use tools like Python and Apache, basically like extract valuable insights and use those insights to help business processes, so stuff like that. And there's just like a whole bunch of tools and stuff like that. So the beautiful thing is like computer science industry. It isn't just like straight up programming. There's a whole bunch of variety of fields that do require programming. So. It's not just like building apps only.
yeah, I'm sure of it. Like hacking and all that. Also, trying to there's like this issue about like how people like I mean with Facebook
Mhm.
for the information controlling how the news are getting to people like let's say followers how they manipulate the information and all that.
Right.
I think you can help with that by creating an algorithm to kind of
Kind of, yeah.
make
If you
sure
have, right.
like their source
Uh-huh.
are
Yeah, if you have new ideas, we are always welcome. So once you join the club, we have those brainstorming sessions. You can add all your ideas. We'll have a list of ideas, and we'll choose to work on that.
Any other questions?
At the end,
I guess that is the end.
will you post the slides?
Yeah.
with
Yep.
Extra
I can share.
information.
We'll be posting this whole presentation on YouTube
Okay.
and the slides along with it, so you can follow along.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thought that would be